people think it's easy to get to the top, and it's not. It's a grind, a slow grind every single day of just consistently putting in the work and showing that, you're reliable, you're capable, and voicing your opinion when you can on, ways to better yourself and better your team.
From the cubicle to the lab, the studio to the war room, climbing the corporate ladder, or joining a scrappy startup, experience a day in the life of the jobs you want. This is the Experience a Day in the Life podcast.
We interview professionals, entrepreneurs, and recent grads about what a day is actually like on the job, hour by hour, or as we like to call it, their ADITL, spelled ADITL, which stands for A Day in the Life.
This podcast will inspire you to gain experience beyond the classroom and launch a career of your own. We're your hosts, Chris DeBow
and Matt Poe. Welcome to part 2 in the 2-part The Music and Movies series. In part 1, we went through hour by hour in a day in Darian Farrell's life as a film and TV coordinator for Universal Music Group. In this episode, we'll take you through Darian's career journey so you know what skills and experience are necessary to land a job in the music biz. A TV show, a friend of a friend's advice, and a random plane ride conversation empowered Darian to make a complete 180 in her career. It can be done. On the heels of graduation from her master's psychology program, Darian leveraged her passion for the music industry into a full-time position. Let's learn how she did it so you can too. What did you want to be growing up?
Well, growing up, I really wanted to be an actress. I thought that was just the most glamorous job in the world. I loved performing arts as a child. I loved being, the center of attention. I loved being in the spotlight. And so that was kind of my dream career. Even though I was from a small town in Michigan, I definitely was, dreaming big and had these lofty goals and aspirations for myself.
Were you always passionate about music? When did that come about?
So that's actually funny. It's on my resume, kind of. It says I'm a morning person and a slight perfectionist. The first time I fell in love with film was in 2001 when I finally got my hands on a copy of The Breakfast Club. And the first time I fell in love with music was 1999 when Destiny's Child released The Writings on the Wall.
When it came time for college, Darian attended Grand Valley State University, studying psychology and applied statistics. She chose the school because she wanted to stay close-ish to home, and it was more affordable to stay in state.
Everyone was super kind, and I still have just the fondest memories in the world of Grand Valley, so I definitely don't regret it at all. What led me to psychology was I have always been a talker, but I've also always been a listener. I've loved listening to people and hearing their stories and learning more about them. And I just wanted to help people. I wanted to contribute something to the world. And so I took kind of not an aptitude test exactly, but in college they had us take, this test to kind of see, what field would you be best in? And of course, funny enough, like the first field it said I would, really thrive in was if it was like actor or actress.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, yeah, I would love that. But I was like, okay, I'm, 17 years old. I'm going to college. I didn't really have the faith in myself to think that, I could be an actor or an actress. And the second thing on my list was psychologist. And I was like, oh, wow, like, let me look more into this. And the more I did, I was like, this could be a great career. I love talking. I love listening to people. I love helping people. This could be great.
With picking that major, what were your career goals at that point in college, freshman year? And at a high level, how did they change?
So my career goal was to become a psychiatrist and to work in a private facility and, see patients and help them in any way I could. So that was the goal. How that changed was I remember specifically I had to take Chem 2 my sophomore year, first semester, and not only was I terrible, at it, I didn't enjoy it. Every day I had to go to the class was just a miserable day for me because it wasn't something I was understanding, it wasn't something I was getting, and it didn't seem to be hitting any bells within me that, this is something I wanted to do. But in order to become a psychiatrist, you have to go to medical school. And so I was like, maybe, this isn't for me. So I went and talked to a counselor, and I remember sitting in my chemistry class, like basically revamping my entire schedule for the next semester and being like, okay, I'm done with psychiatrist. That's not going to happen. I think instead, what I want to do is be a counseling psychologist. So that way I have the techniques to do cognitive behavioral therapy, but also I'm helping people without having to, go to med school and, learn the type of science that I wasn't good at.
Junior year, she also applied to the McNair program. It's designed to prepare undergrad students for graduate and doctoral studies through involvement in research and other scholarly activities. She got in and she told us she loved it because she was paired with a professor at Grand Valley to work on a research project together. The research they worked on was proving those who were ostracized in any way felt not only emotional pain, but physical pain as well.
And so we were trying to look into if experiencing ostracism is as painful as research says. Our hypothesis was that people would also be concerned with their physical safety because they're feeling such physical pain. So that kind of spiraled into risk adverse and risky behavior.
Darian got into the applied social psychology program at Loyola University in Chicago, all thanks to her hard work and help from her professors. She was ready for graduation from undergrad, but like most around this time, Darian was feeling anxious about the next chapter in her life.
Everyone was kind of telling me from the jump, they're like, there's going to be a time where you get to grad school and it's hard and you're going to feel like you don't belong and you're going to feel like it's a mistake that you're there. Don't believe that. Don't trust that. You earned your way there. You belong there just as much as anyone else. And everyone wasn't lying. I mean, within the first month of being in Chicago, I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I'd made a mistake. Because what a lot of people don't understand is when you go to grad school, it's different from college in that your professors are now your peers. And so you are expected to get A's. Like if you are not getting A's, there is a problem. Or they're in a situation where the program is more research intensive, and so their focus isn't really on your grades. It's like, okay, you need to be, conducting quality research that can later be published in journals.
You could be wondering, what is grad school actually like on the day-to-day? Well, Darian told us her first semester was tough because she had to get used to all the reading and writing. We're talking papers on papers on papers and reading multiple chapters a day. She thought it was interesting and all, but had a moment during grad school where she realized applied social psychology was not what she wanted to do.
I spent a lot of time in the libraries and coffee shops and, focused on understanding this new world that I was in. I did great my first semester. It really pumped me up. I ended up getting a 4.0 my first semester, and I was like, this is great. Like, I can do this. Like, I'm proof that, I'm not here by accident. I can do this. And then second semester hits where a master's program is only 2 years. So you're doing more in-depth research. You're learning more, like what you did last semester doesn't cut it anymore. You've got to, step it up to the next level. And so this was super tough for me because it was a lot more statistics, which I was comfortable with, but obviously you're advancing more into the program, so it's harder. And it was after the first year where I was like, okay, psych is great. My plan at that time was to do really well at Loyola's master's program so I could be admitted into the PhD program and I could become a professor and I could change lives the way, you know, the professors of my college experience changed my life. And I could also, do some research on the side that really interests me. But it was at the end of that first year that I was like, psychology is amazing. It's fascinating. I really like it. But is it something that I want to be doing for the rest of my life? And so I had that hard conversation with myself of, is it something I could do? Yes. Do I want to do it? I don't think so. And so then that led to, a downward spiral of, okay, well, if I don't want to do that, what do I want to do? And I was in my apartment in Chicago watching uh, watching a show that like provided me so much comfort throughout adolescence, and I was listening and I heard some song that was playing in the background of the scene, and I was like, this is incredible. I wish I, could do this for a living. I wish I could just choose songs for film. That would be so fun. I would learn so much. How do I do this? And I remember Googling, who's the person that picks the music in in songs or in film. And I found music supervisor. And so from there, I spent that summer kind of reaching out to any connection I had in Detroit, to explain to me what music supervision was, how it worked, how could I get involved. And I had a friend, Erica, who had been my, role model and confidant all throughout college because she was also president of Delta Zeta at the time that I first joined. And I was like, she's incredible. I want to be like her. And she worked in copywriting, and she worked with a lot of advertising companies. And she was like, you should talk to, my friend at this company. He's a music supervisor. He might be able to help you. And he did. He helped me out and basically was like, this is great that you want to do this, but it's going to mean kind of giving up everything that you've already done in your life and starting all over. And you're going to need to move, to New York or Los Angeles, somewhere that, music is a central hub. And that was really scary because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know anyone who lives in those places. I don't know anyone who works in that field. I don't really know how I'm going to start. And honestly, it just the universe worked. It was how I knew it was meant to happen, was the universe honestly worked it out to happen. And so I was coming back to Chicago on a plane, and I sat next to a man who happened to like be chatty. And when I'm on planes, I'm not really trying to chat with people, but he was so chatty that I was like, oh, okay, like,
We're doing this, I guess.
yeah, I guess we're having this combo. Cool, cool, cool. And so he was like, yeah, I work in music, and I'm coming back from one of my clients' shows and da da da. And he ended up owning his own radio promotions business. And I connected with him after the plane. I like saw his name on like a piece of paper he had or something that he was holding, and I was like, I gotta remember that name. And I remember writing it down on my phone, and I googled him and like found his information and ended up sending him an email basically being like, you probably don't remember me, I was the girl with all the psych articles on the plane, but music is something that's always really fascinated me and I've been really passionate about in my life, and I was hoping that you'd have some time for a meeting. And he was amazing. He was like, of course, I'd be happy to help you, like come down to my office, like we'll set something up. And that led to a like 4 or 5 month internship at his radio promotions company while I was still in grad school, finishing up all my classes. And I had a part-time assistantship, and it was really busy for a solid couple of months. But I was like, I've got to give this a shot. I've got to see if I have what it takes to kind of make this work, even if it is just looking through magazines all day and listening to new artists and new music Friday on Spotify, and finding articles and shuffling papers. I mean, it was a lot of administrative stuff. It was very rare that we got to do like anything really hands on, but we did get to go to some cool shows. And I had never really been to music shows. Like even as a kid, I was like, I really like this band, I'll just buy their CD. It never occurred to me to like go see a band live. And so it was good that it was a great time for me in Chicago because I was going to see all these great bands live, and it kind of opened up this whole new world for me of like, this is what it's like to work in music. You're going to shows, you're finding new music, you're doing a lot of administrative work, you're talking on the phone, you're trying to make stuff happen. And so I was like, okay, I think I could do this. This is really fun and it's something I enjoy. I can make this work.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing that. That was a great story.
that's like, it gives me chills. It's like so cool. And I love what you said, that the universe literally just made it happen. It was definitely a mix of you putting your energy out there and being like, I want to do this.
Looking back with Jeff, were you nervous to send that first initial follow-up email to reach out?
Yeah, because I thought for sure he'd be like, I don't have time for this girl. Like, what is she? Who is this? Like, why is she contacting me? We literally barely spoke on the plane, but that was like, a plain conversation, not like a follow up with me and like chat with me conversation. I thought for sure the email would either go ignored or I would get like a negative response. But at the end of the day, I was like, I've got nothing to lose. Why not? The worst he can say is, no, I'm not going to help you. And then, you know, I move on. But if I ask, at least there's a maybe in the air.
So I want to talk about graduation because you did get your master's at Loyola while
Yes.
juggling the music industry internship. How did it feel to get a degree knowing that you were moving on and taking a job in another industry?
It was definitely hard because while I was so proud of all the work I had done at Loyola and my thesis and my mentors and the relationships that I'd formed, it also was bittersweet because I knew at that time that I was leaving and I wasn't pursuing this path that I'd worked so hard on and spent so much money on. It was painful because I was like, did I seriously just waste 2 years of my life when I could have, found this opportunity? But I don't regret it because there would be no now if I hadn't gone to Chicago and I hadn't gone to Loyola. I wouldn't have been on that plane. I wouldn't have met Jeff. I wouldn't have gone through the experience of grad school and realized, could I do this forever? Yeah. Do I want to do this forever? No. I wouldn't have had that talk with myself. So I honestly just believe that we all have a path that we walk, and whether you believe in a higher power or God or the universe, whatever it is, I think that, what's meant for you is going to find you. And I think that this situation with Jeff and me coming into the music industry is just a testament to hustle, hard work, and, speaking what you want out into the universe and being ready to accept it.
So Darian graduated from Loyola, and within a 2-week span, she picked up everything and moved to LA for the job she has now as a film and TV coordinator at Universal Music Group. You can learn more about that job in part 1 of this series, but now it's story time.
I was in Chicago, and this was like January of my last semester. So our graduation was in May. Around the time of January, I made really good friends with a girl who went to my undergrad. Her name's Chrissy. She's amazing. Chrissy, if you're listening, you're the bomb. But Chrissy introduced me to her big sister from her sorority, which is also another reason I don't regret sorority life because it provides you with so many connections and such a deep well of networking. But Chrissy was like, my big sister works out in California. You should connect with her. She's incredible and will be super kind to you and will help kind of give you, the tools you need to get out there eventually. Because while I wanted to work in Los Angeles, I knew that I had it in my head. I was like, I'm not moving out to Los Angeles unless I have a job. Like, I have to have the job first before I can move out there because it's too expensive and it's too risky to shift my whole life and not have, anything secure. So Chrissy's big sister Alex introduced me to her friend Shannon, who is one of my coworkers now. But she was like, Alex was like, talk with Shannon. She's amazing. She does exactly what you want to be doing, except instead of picking the music for different scenes, she basically gets the request from the studio or from the music supervisor and organizes, the fee of what it's going to cost them to have that song in that scene. She was like, so I feel like even though it's not exactly what you want to be doing, it's a great stepping stone. And I was like, you're right. It's incredible. I'd be working for a major music company. Like, that would be amazing. So Shannon and I talked, emailed back and forth for probably about a month or so. And I just told her, if anything opens up, like, let me know. I can jump on the next plane. Like, I will be out there. I can do this. Because another tough thing about moving to a new city is that, especially if you don't have any experience or if you don't know someone already on the inside, it's hard to get your application looked at when you live in a different city because there's so many people already in that city that want a job. So I kind of had that working against me. But Shannon was like, no, if something opens up, like, I will definitely let you know. I will be there for you. And so I was like, okay, great. And one day she emailed me and said, someone from our team just left. I think they're going to promote one of the coordinators into this manager role, and that would open up a coordinator role. Send me your resume and let me know. And I sent her my resume and just kind of like prayed on it and, hope for the best. And I got an email from one of the recruiters at UME and was like, hey, we got we got a recommendation to reach out to you, like, let us know. And so this was around March. So I set up a phone interview and I'm thinking, everything's gonna be great, it's gonna be good. And then they emailed me back kind of saying, hey, unfortunately, the team has decided to go in a different direction, but let us know when you get out to Los Angeles. It would be great to meet you. And so I felt really defeated, of course, and I got my hopes up and I was excited about this new opportunity. But I just kind of sat down and prayed and was like, whatever is supposed to happen to me, I know you'll make it happen. So just, let me know with clear consistency what I need to be doing next. And so this was like on a Sunday. The following Monday, I got an email from Shannon basically saying, I can't say anything, but, keep your phone close to you. And I'm like, ooh, this is so awkward. She doesn't know they already told me no. I don't know how to say this to her. And sure enough, the same recruiter called me back and was like, hey, actually, they took a second look at your application and want to do an interview with you. They're willing to Skype interview you. And so I Skype interviewed with my current bosses. And they were like, yeah, we never do this. We never Skype interview anyone. And we have had a lot of interest for this position, but we'll let you know. And in my head, I was thinking, like, I know how I am and I know my work ethic and, who I am. If I can just get an interview, I really, really think I can make this happen. So to have that Skype interview was great and it went really well. And 3 days later, recruiter called me and said, hey, they want to offer you the position. You're sure you can be out here in Los Angeles for your start date in 2 weeks? And I was like, of course. Like, yes, thank you, thank you. And so I had a week in Chicago to mind you, because this is March, or this is like March, end of March, early April, and my lease went until July in Chicago, and I technically didn't graduate until until May, but I was lucky in that I front loaded a lot of my courses. So I really, that last semester was just working on my thesis. So I was in a position to be able to pack up and move. So I found a subleaser, found an apartment, packed up all my stuff, and arranged for it to be delivered to this new place in Chicago in a week. And then the following week, flew out to California with my parents, moved everything in on a Wednesday, got everything situated, found a car, got that situated, and started work the following Monday morning.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think made you stand out?
I think what made me stand out was my work ethic. I basically told them, I asked them questions like, what could I do to exceed your expectations? What would the day-to-day be of this position? What's the culture like with the company? What steps is the company taking to provide an inclusive environment? I think I asked questions that kind of took them off guard and kind of made them think like, oh wow, like she's serious, this is something. I asked, like, is there room for growth within the company? I was like, I want to move, so if I'm going to pick up my whole life and move here, I need to know that there's going to be some stability, and I'm going to be investing as much in this company and in this department as you guys are investing and taking a chance on me. And so I think that kind of stood out to them, in that they were like, wow, she's got so many questions, she's invested, she works hard. And then I didn't just say that. I did that when I got there. I came to work a half hour early every day and stayed a half hour late every day. I still do this because, I know that it's people think it's easy to get to the top, and it's not. It's a grind, a slow grind every single day of just consistently putting in the work and showing that, you're reliable, you're capable, and voicing your opinion when you can on, ways to better yourself and better your team.
Awesome.
That's such a great answer. And then building on that, how did you sell yourself to your bosses, given that you only had one internship in the industry itself?
Yeah, that was tough. I thought for sure, that I knew that was going to be the weakest part of my application because, they were getting applications from people who had better experience and from bigger companies. But I think what helped me was I had Shannon's recommendation. I really, owe her a lot. We talk about it and she says, you got yourself here. But I also know that like no one does anything 100% on their own. Like she put in a good recommendation for me, and I firmly believe had she not, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to even interview. So I thank Shannon for that. But it was tough, and I basically just told them, I understand that, I only have I addressed it. I said, I know I only have this limited amount of experience, but I want to know more. I'm a sponge. I will soak up anything. And I know that this is a great opportunity to learn and to grow. And that's what I want. And I know that I could bring a different aspect, a different perspective, being someone who has just spent the last 2 years in psychological research to the company. And so I think that also kind of stood out to them, and that I wasn't of the music world. I was someone who had a passion and aspiration to be in the music world, but just hadn't had the opportunity.
Before we go, Darian has a point she really wants to drive home.
I think just like the best like little piece of advice I can give is people don't understand how important it is to network. I mean, I knew Chrissy, but I didn't know Alex and I didn't know Shannon at all. But I was politely persistent and I emailed them. And even like the first couple of emails I sent to Shannon, I didn't get a response, but I followed up in an appropriate amount of time. I waited about anywhere from 3 business days to 5 business days and then followed up with another email because people will forget about you if you let them. I'm not saying, harass someone or, you definitely need to feel out the timing, but I just politely followed up saying, hey, following up on this email, I really would love to connect with you when you have the chance. I understand you're busy, but you need to acknowledge that people do have other, outside opportunities and that it's not someone's job to help you. So graciously accept someone's help if they are willing to offer it and be sure to show thanks and gratitude. And, you've got to work hard. You've got to hustle. I sent so many emails to so many different people and got no response, but I took a chance and it ended up working out. So I definitely would give my best advice is just to not give up, to be politely persistent and to keep grinding. It's a hustle for sure. But if you do all those things, I firmly believe success will find you.
That wraps up part 2 in the music and movie series. Huge thanks to Darian Farrell for sharing her wisdom throughout this Experience a Day in the Life series. If you haven't already, be sure to listen to part 1 in this series to experience a day in the life of a film and TV coordinator at Universal Music Group.
So they say you can't get a job without experience, but need experience to get the job. But luckily, we have quite the experience. You can join our team and experience a day in the life of the jobs you want by applying to be a student editor. Regardless of your major or amount of experience, this is the perfect stepping stone into any internship or career. Find more info and sign up at xadiddle.com/students. That's xaditl.com/students. Thanks for listening. Head over to xadiddle.com. That's xaditl.com. There you can find the show notes for this series and more A Day in the Life articles. And you can get to know us and our guests more by joining our communities on social media. Follow at xadiddle on Instagram and on LinkedIn by searching for Krista Bowe and Matt with 1T Poe.
If you learned something in this episode, please take some time to help our mission by leaving a positive rating and review of the show. Each week, we bring you a new interview series with guests from different jobs and different industries. In each series, we'll live a specific day in the life, hour by hour, and experience their career journey. So don't forget to subscribe.